They order test tubes on the internet, a bunch of test tubes. They then take tampons, remove the tampons from the packages, then put the test tubes filled with alcohol inside the tampon packages, seal them back up, and put a handful of them in their bags and stuff, and then go into parties and stuff. And then everyone drinks out of tampons. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Listen, you guys wanted to talk off camera. Let's talk off camera. They're sneaking in booze in the tampons, Kelly.
Somebody going to cue me, or do I cue myself?
Cue yourself.
Okay. Okay, we are back, everybody. Buckle up. Another live. I said it, Jam. I said it, Albert.
Live.
Another live episode of Let's Talk Off Camera on Sirius XM's Radio Andy. Andy Cohen has his own radio station. Did you know that, Jam?
Fancy.
And he let us on it, which I'm sure he regrets every day.
No.
And today we are joined by the greatest of the great. I mean, the GOAT of humanity, Jerry O'Connell. Jerry,
hey, everybody.
Jerry, yes. Jerry,
First time, long time. That's what they say in talk radio. First time caller, long time listener.
Listen, let me tell you something. I'm going to describe you to our listeners because, as you know, Jerry, we are an off-camera podcast.
Sure, which I'm not used to. I'm strictly on camera, but whatevs.
He's looking fit, looking sexy. Yeah. He's wearing pink button-down polo shirt. Still showing a bit of chest, a bit of like
a little bit.
Are you
little hair,
baby, like body oil or something?
No, actually, I just haven't like bathed. You know what? I went to the beach yesterday. And I still haven't bathed. I still have like the salt water on me, so it's a little bit of sunblock and everything.
Before we get into you, Jan's son, her baby boy, her newborn, Caden, had his junior prom this weekend.
Wow.
Jan, give me the dish.
Yeah, it was great. Listen, it was awesome to see these kids. But we had a debate going on in our house because he asked if we can host the after party. And here's my thought about the after party. Okay. If you host it, you can monitor the situation. If you host it, you're also liable. If you don't host it, it's somewhere else, and you have no control over the situation.
Liability is the word.
I know. I'm not. Here's the thing.
Hear the word liability.
Salino and Barnes, injury attorneys, 1-888-888-888-888.
I'm not going to serve alcohol.
They're going to buy alcohol. They are monsters. They are going to bring alcohol.
But I can monitor it.
You cannot monitor these monsters. Okay. Liability is the word I want you to marry into your brain.
Okay. I didn't end up doing it. But he went to someone else's house, and guess what? They did it there.
And guess what? Yeah. Those parents are liable.
Okay, so we actually, hey, Jerry O'Connell here, everybody. I have an awesome tan. My shirt is open. A little bit of chest hair tickling out of the top of my shirt. Whatever. I am the father of two teenage daughters, 16-year-olds, and my daughter was in a school play, and my other daughter was in the crew. And afterwards, they came to me. And this is my imitation of Kelly Ripa imitating her teenage daughters. Her teenage daughter when they were a few years ago when Kelly's daughter was a teenager. My daughters came up to me with complete vocal fry because we live on the West Coast, and they were like, "Dad, we want to throw the cast and crew after party at our house." And at first, I said absolutely not because much like Jan, much like Kelly. Much like Celino and Barnes taught me, I do not want to be liable for when a kid falls off my roof and dies. Sorry, I don't want to be liable for that. Or we have I don't want to boast here. I already talked about my tan, but we have a pool. I don't want to wake up the next morning and see, God forbid, a kid in the pool, not alive, unalived. Right. Sorry to make this so serious.
They're kids, they're children. You know,
but
sometimes
I told
we
my
do
kids
the thinking for them.
It is a fine line because I do want my kids to be popular, and I do want them to be cool. And my wife was out of town. My wife is a very famous actress, Rebecca Romaine. Look her up on the internet. And I'm the second husband. Don't look the first husband. That's not me. I'm the second one. My wife said, just do it. I'm not in town. Like, go for it. So I'm not kidding. I got a breathalyzer. You can go to your drugstore and get a breathalyzer. Any kid who drove up to my house got breathalyzed. And I'll tell you what's funny. I don't know what the laws are where everybody else lives, and I'd love to hear what the phone lines have to say about this. But I'll tell you the problem with these kids today, it's not so much the booze, it's the fact that marijuana is legal in California and all these kids take edibles now. Sorry, I mean, you want us to be real on this show. I saw some kids laying on my floor, and I was like, listen, are those kids okay? Is that fentanyl? And they were like, no, they just took edibles. And I was like, okay, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it because I am not one of those parents. There are parents in my neighborhood who supply these kids with booze, and I am not that parent, and I don't adhere to that. Now, listen, their argument, I haven't really faced the parents. I don't even want to meet them. I don't even want to know them. That's how little I have in common with these parents. But their thing is like, well, they're going to get the booze elsewhere. Better that they get it here. But I got to tell you, I think these drunk parents just want to party with these kids. And that's another level of sick that I have an issue with.
I agree with you. I think there's something a little twisted about, the parents that feel the need to be, like the cool parent that has, makes all things possible and everything available at all times. We were not those parents. And to varying degrees of success, our kids will find a way to get up to no good if they really want to get up to no good. But I think that we instilled enough fear in them to keep them relatively. I mean, my kids, Jerry. Their feet are planted pretty firmly on the ground.
Hard-working kids.
Yeah,
they work hard. They show up.
But there's one that really gave us a run for our money, and when she had her sweet 16, we made an agreement with her. We said she was a summer baby, so she never had like a big birthday party before. So her sweet 16, we were like, okay, you can have a sweet 16. And, summer camp was no longer a thing at the age of 16. And so she had this party. It was out in Brooklyn. We rented a warehouse for it. And I said, look, I just want you to know I'm going to have security there because I heard that these kids sneak in water bottles filled with vodka. Sure. And marijuana wasn't legal then yet. So we had it much easier than the parents of today. And so she was like, you're going to ruin my life socially. And I said, well, it's either security or checking backpacks or no party.
Yeah.
So we had security checking backpacks. A few of the kids went to another parent's house. They all got shit-faced there. Yeah. And a bunch of them arrived off their faces, and somebody passed out, and the ambulance was called. The police came, and the security guards were off-duty police officers, and they talked to the cops who agreed not to shut the party down because my daughter's Sweet 16 would have been shut down in 15 minutes of it having started because a couple of kids who got drunk at some other parent's house showed up at the party. And
by the way, I hate to say this part of the whole story as well, but I mean, like, the story isn't these kids got drunk at so-and-so's house. The story is these kids got drunk at Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelo's party.
That's how it would. That's like would
you
be
take
the
blame for it.
Okay,
can I tell you how these girls, I mean, I just know this because I have daughters, how these kids, I shouldn't assign gender. Sorry, everyone. How these kids sneak booze into parties now. Listen to this. You ready for this?
No.
They order test tubes on the internet, a bunch of test tubes. They then take tampons, remove the tampons from the packages, then put the test tubes filled with alcohol inside the tampon packages, seal them back up, and put a handful of them in their bags and stuff, and then go into parties and stuff. And then everyone drinks out of tampons. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Listen, you guys wanted to talk off camera. Let's talk off camera. They're sneaking in booze in the tampons, Kelly.
Wow. That is wild. That's not where I thought that was going. I was like, what? They put it in their vaginas.
Yeah. Wow.
No. I don't think it's in the vagina. I think it's in
I got
the packages.
Initially, I thought this was going someplace else. I was like,
that's how they smuggle drugs into this country. Don't get me started on smuggling drugs into this country. This is turning to Midnight Express. That said, I will say, listen, you want to talk off camera? I did have a daughter who showed up drunk to my house on Saturday night. She came home drunk. Yeah.
She did. And what did you do? What was the discussion like?
The discussion was not that evening because my daughter was too drunk. And then the next day, drove her to rehab. Jokes, everyone. The next day, just said, listen, there's a bunch of alcoholics in your family and it's fun. I'm not going to punish. I'm sorry. I know your callers. We should take it to the callers as well. I don't punish them. I don't know. I don't think you can punish somebody. They're 16. That's what I mean. Let me ask everyone here on the panel, and we should open up to the callers. Did anyone here get drunk when they were 16? Kelly, Absolutely. Did you ever imbibe?
Yeah, I got drunk. I remember getting really drunk once. Really drunk. I think I had 2 wine coolers, and then I vomited all night. I'm historically a lightweight, and I think quitting drinking was the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
What happened to the wine coolers?
You were 4 years old? No, you were not 4 years old.
I grew up in the city, and we were drinking 13 years old on.
Really?
Yeah, but it wasn't like passed out drunk or anything. It was just the social scene of the city.
Yeah. I think that,
and of course my daughter's got into a fight last night. And the other daughter who wasn't drunk was like, you're just an alcoholic. I hate you.
So is there one that's the good time Charlie? I know one of your daughter's names actually is
Charlie and the other is
there
Dolly.
A good time Charlie and not as good time Charlie?
Well, they both have their licenses now, and they know very much not to drink and drive. That's a big no. But they one is one is never. One is always the one is always. One is a good. One is good. One is bad. What do you want me to say? One is.
Jan, do you think that because you grew up in the city, like my kids grew up in the city, do you think that the parents are more lackadaisical with that because nobody's driving anywhere?
I think that the fear of the drinking and driving is out the window, and it's not that we're lackadaisical about it. It's just more of like, I feel like if you're like, you can't, they're going to, and it's going to be worse. Right. If I know it's happening, I'm not serving it, not saying like, let's go get a drink. I'm just saying like, it's just not, it hasn't become a big deal. My kids aren't coming home wasted or anything like that.
Right.
And I just think
makes one of us.
It's so taboo.
Right. That's right. I had a system. Yeah, it's so funny. I had a system with one of my kids who was like just afraid to go to any party. I really like instilled fear that there, these kids get up to no good, and the next thing you know, you're hooked on drugs. And we had a code that if he texted me 911, I would call him and yell at him and demand he come home.
Yeah.
And then he would be able to put me on speakerphone and be like, guys, my mom is so uncool. I gotta go.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so he 911'd me. He was at a party for like 4 minutes and I got a 911. So I call and it goes straight to voicemail. And then I call again. And it goes straight to voicemail. And now I'm like texting. I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? And he calls me back and he's like, why are you bothering me? And I go, you 911'd me. He goes, oh yeah, it was a false alarm.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right.
I didn't even know what a false alarm means. Oh, we are back. I wish, what we should do? Instead of commercial break, we should just listen to Jerry and Jan's conversations with each other.
No. Yeah.
Instead of the commercial break.
We're talking about sex.
We are talking, we segued from teenage drinking to who had the sex talk with your daughters, Jerry?
Yeah. It's interesting. My wife, Rebecca Romaine, model, actress, very attractive. Look her up. Is from Berkeley, California. So she was like at the age of 2, she was like, girls, it's time to have that talk about your bodies. And I was like, whoa. They gotta go through communion what are you talking about? We don't know. They may join the nunnery. We don't know what's happening with them. They may not have sex at all. But you know what's funny? Boys are just starting to enter their lives, and I can see it. They come over. They're very nice. I mean, I have a really funny joke with these guys who come and drop my daughters off. I'm always like, all right, fellas, say no to what? And they go, drugs? And I go, that's it. Say no to drugs. And my kids are mortified when I say that. But they seem like nice. They seem like nice boys. But actually, another father said this to me who has older daughters. This is a little rough for me to say, but this is talking off camera, so let's talk off camera. This guy said to me, if you think your daughters are getting close to being, sexually active, you have to say, hey, you got to let me know if you're close to being sexually active, because we have to go see your pediatrician, we have to go see your doctor, and we have to talk about that, So I did. With my girls in the car, which is, I live in the suburbs. That's when you get them alone and you get them maybe not looking at their phone. You can, it's just you and them. I said, hey, girls, I noticed there's guys coming around. They're kind of cute, except the one with the dumb hair. Hey, girls, if you're ever sexually active, you got to let me know. And they were like, shut up. And I was like, girls, you got to let me know, And also, I mean, listen, let's talk off camera. At their pediatrician, they had to go in for shots, and they got shots that deal with sexually active kids. You know what I'm saying? Can I say? I mean, yeah, I can say I'm such a dad. HPV shots, you know what I'm saying? You got to get them for these girls, No,
you have to. I mean, it's the responsible thing to do. And I do think that's a very safe conversation to have, to say, listen, there's going to come a time, I prefer it to be later, but I'm not living in the dark ages, and there's going to come a time, and I just want to keep an open dialogue. And if you are planning on becoming sexually active, I think it should be part of a larger conversation. There's, we should definitely talk about what responsible sexual activity looks like for a person your age, and how something may feel right now. And, it's I think those are all very good. They just need to know that they can trust you enough. And in the end, they're twins. They're going to talk to each other with their twin telepathy. And so
I'm going to have that talk with my daughters, and then I'm going to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm going to kill myself. Jokes.
Yeah, let's take some callers.
Yeah, let's go to the callers.
Okay, so we have Allison in New York City who has a comment or a story about spying on her teenage daughter, which I know all too well about.
Let's hear it.
Allison, how are you?
Allison from New York City. You're on with Jerry. Say hi.
Hello. So yes, I actually have twins. I raised twins in New York City, a boy and a girl. And I will say I was far more protective of my daughter for whatever reason. But things happen fast here. And so we had a long-term boyfriend, and there was parties, all kinds of things going on.
Sure.
So I, of course, figured out how to pull up her computer and read her.
Oh, boy.
Which I think a lot of parents do. I thought this was being helpful and protective, but as a result, I found out that he was cheating on her. And it created a whole issue because she didn't know I knew. I thought she was in denial about it. I could see other people telling her what was happening. And I went down the rabbit hole of rage, sadness, and anger towards him. And
I will kill him.
It's hard not to.
There's only one thing to do. You have to come up with a completely new, different teenage female personality and catfish him and trap him. And then get proof. And then put him on blast. No, that's pretty crazy. I got to tell you, by the way, I am not a professional. Kelly Ripa is a professional. Kelly Ripa has a doctorate in momology. But I gotta say, I think this is the problem. I think the most hurtful thing of this story is that your daughter didn't tell you that her boyfriend cheated on her.
Exactly.
It's such a bummer. I would be mad at my kids. I'd be like, you got to tell me this. And this is why I'd say it. I'd be like, girls, I've been through this. Well, I mean, I haven't. Nobody's ever cheated on me. Come on, let's be real. But I would say, like, hey, girls, if you're going through something, your mother and I have a lifetime of experience, a lifetime. There's been a lot of potholes on this road of life for me. And these are things that I want to impart on you. Like, take my advice of what not to do and where not to go. So that's the bummer. Like, I think if I was to give advice here, like, I would say to my kid, I'd say, hey, and by the way, your son too. Guys, come to us. I'm not, this is a judgment-free zone. This is like Crunch Fitness. There's no judgment here.
But there's a bigger,
the
point of the story is that she was spying on the emails. So there's no way to bring it up. Am I correct, Allison?
Yeah.
Correct. And it felt like a huge breach of trust.
Right.
And I would watch this unfold every night. And eventually, you know, it's all past now. And she eventually did tell me. But what I went through, like, that's what it made me so sad that I felt like I went through it harder than she did because I lived in silence before she was able to tell me, and I was breaching the trust. Yeah.
Well, you were just being a curious parent, a proactive parent.
Right.
I mean, it's parenting. Jan has done. Jan has spied on her sons who've grown up to be lovely. So they come out of it fine. But I understand because, Allison, when you told me that story, I wanted to say, what is his name and give me his address and let's go. Let's go drag him out of the house. We'll get Jerry. Jerry can be here in 5.5 hours.
Yeah. No, it's it is funny. This is it is when someone wrongs your children. Isn't it funny how it really is? Like, people wrong my friends, people wrong me, people wrong my spouse. I'm like, all right, well, just avoid those people. But when somebody wrongs your children, it really is the most upsetting. It's amazing how personally we take it.
Yeah.
Jersey Kelly comes out.
Jersey Kelly came right. Listen, I'm still
She stood up.
I'm still sort of levitating right now because I want to ruin this kid's day. Like, I want to, your daughter was too special for him. And I'm sure that she's on the other side of it. And thanks for calling. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
all right.
Bye.
We've got another caller.
Okay. Who's this?
Nina, Michigan.
Nina from Michigan.
Okay.
Nina from Michigan. Hi, you're on with Jerry and Kelly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello? Okay. So yeah, I'm from Michigan. Huge fan, Kelly. I've been to your show probably 5-6 times and watched your live. And huge fan of all my children, of course.
Thanks.
And Jerry, I love your stuff too, as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have 3 kids. Well, we have 3 kids, I should say. My husband and myself. They're older now, but 2 boys and a girl. We've been married 27 years. Raising kids has been interesting. Lots of patience, understanding, communication is key for us. Pretty much, I mean, they're grown adults now and they're living on their own and they're living pretty well. And I thought we taught them well, and that's pretty much.
Did you ever have a moment though? Was there ever a moment where they tried to get away with some shit, shall we say? Did they try to pull one over? Was there drinking at the prom? Was there were they up to no good? Was there ever a moment where any one of them was up to no good?
Not really. We did have them come to our house after prom because we have a hot tub, a large hot tub. There was no drinking allowed.
No drinking allowed. Okay, good.
No drinking allowed. No, we didn't approve of that.
Yeah.
They're really good kids. I don't want to brag, but There's
Wow.
moments that they fight against each other and they break something and they hide it and that kind of stuff. Stupid shit. Nothing major that we know of.
It sounds pretty. It sounds pretty easy. Like it sounds like you should maybe write a book, Nina. Like,
I know. Nina.
I was
needs to
talking
write
about
a
my
book.
kids being on drugs and drunk and coming home and hiding booze and tampon packages.
Nina, have you heard of the tampon smuggling of the alcohol?
I've also heard of them soaking their tampons in vodka and sticking it in areas.
No.
Okay, that I haven't heard of. This is turning into, that's a different channel on Sirius XM. That is,
Wow.
by the way, Andy is like pumping his fist right now saying, yeah, we finally got to it. This is getting too crazy. I didn't mean any of that. I meant they put the test tubes in there. Nina, you sound like an incredible parent. We should all be so...
we hope that you write a book.
I'm going to call you off the air and get some advice.
Do it.
My delinquent children. Thank you, Nina.
Thanks, Nina. Thanks for the call.
Okay,
Jen.
we have Agatha in Florida.
Agatha in Florida.
Yeah, has a comment about raising teens.
Okay, Agatha in Florida, and your comment about raising teens. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Agatha, you are the first Agatha I have ever taught. I've obviously read Agatha Christie, but you are the first Agatha. Is there a short? Is Aggie? What's a nickname for Agatha?
Yes, you hit it right on the head. People
Aggie.
called me
All right,
Aggie. But now, in the second part of my life, I've decided to go by Agatha, my daughter's suggestion. But before I comment on being a parent, I do want to say, Kelly, I love your show, love you and Mark. I live in Florida, but we did go to see you in Palm Springs, and guess who was your guest that day?
Was it Jerry O'Connell?
And Rebecca.
Oh, wow.
There we go. Yeah.
Man,
Look at this. Back again.
Agatha, I did not realize we have been through so much together.
Yeah. All of us.
Well, Kelly, since we're talking off camera,
Yes.
you happened to be on the golf cart riding by between shows. We were on the second airing on Sunday.
Okay.
And my daughter had taken me to my first drag show out there the day before. And I had this beautiful fan because it was so hot that day. And I was, waving me and everybody else. And you said, love your fan. And
Oh my gosh. I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So nuts. I remember you, Agatha.
That's wild.
Really.
I do.
Anyway,
Because I was
fans.
surprised more people did not have fans. And yours stood out in a really great way.
yes, it was large, and I was sharing the wealth. I was fanning a lot of people around me until they told me, you got to put your fan down when the show started.
Don't listen to anything our producers tell you during a show, especially when it's 200 degrees.
How was the drag show?
Well, it was my first. It was fun. I have an adult daughter who lives in L.A., and so it was me and my daughter. I said, oh, they're going to be in Palm Springs. Should we go? And she's like, sure. So we went. I flew out there, and we went. And it was a lot of fun, I have to say. And I have to say, she is a huge Andy Cohen Bravo fan. So we're all full circle here.
This is so full circle. I've got to say really quick that oh God, it's gone. What I was about to say, something about Oh, you're from Florida though, right?
Yes.
So, and you're an adult.
I'm very much an adult.
Can't wait to see
For
what
all adult women from Florida, I have to ask the question: did you ever date my husband, Mark?
Stop, Kelly.
Well, I don't live. I live like 2 hours from Tampa.
Oh, that
so
didn't stop
But-
him. That 2 hour
he is
border.
my daughters say he is my type because my husband
Oh.
looks, an older, less fit version of Mark.
The world is less fit. Everyone's, that's not,
Sounds like a
everyone's
dream.
less fit.
Anyway, so, but yeah, I'm a huge fan, and I do hope to go see you in New York. My daughter, the other daughter lives there, and I'm like, we have to go see live.
Hey, any parenting advice for a guy who's got teenage daughters who keep coming home drunk?
Yeah. We have two girls, and one was they were different. They were opposite personalities, but neither one of them really drank a lot in high school. But my older daughter had friends that did. And I never allowed alcohol around, but I tried to keep an open conversation with all of them.
All right.
And so a couple of times, her friends did get drunk a couple of times, and they came over here instead of going home because they thought they would get into much trouble.
They thought it was a safe space, right?
It was a safe space, but, you know, I would tell sometimes teenagers need to hear it from somebody else rather than their parents, I think. I could talk to my daughter's friends, but talking to my own daughter was harder.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Did you ever inform the mom, like the mom of the girl that was
did you ever snitch? Snitch. The word is snitch, Kelly. Snitch.
I just, well, one time I did because she was very I did. But the other times,
Snitches get stitches, Agatha.
I told her I'm going to have to tell your mother. I didn't lie.
Right. You got to do it. You had to do it. Thank you, Agatha. We really appreciate you. See you. See you next time. Next time Kelly and Mark have my wife and I over.
Yeah. No.
Bring the fan.
Okay, guys. We have Krisha in Dallas. She has a 13-year-old daughter.
Okay, Krisha, hi, you're on with Jerry and Kelly.
Oh my gosh, you guys. How are you doing, Kelly?
Krisha.
You saw me yesterday at your show.
Oh my God. Krisha from the sign about Albert?
Yes.
Krisha, I love you so much.
I can't believe I'm on here now. That is maybe I'm a little too obsessed. I think I need to dial in on the fandom maybe.
No, we love it.
No, you sound pretty normal. We have
you looked very normal too. You were like, and by normal I mean you were like very chic and well put together, even though you were waving a paper bag that had Albert's phrases.
Krisha, thank you for giving the food talk a safe space on Let's Talk Off Camera.
Oh my God, Sue. Oh my God.
Krisha, tell us about your teenage daughter. Is she still 18-year-old? Is she still like young enough where it hasn't really hit the fan yet, has it?
It hasn't really hit the fan yet. What I mentioned to the screener is today she actually has her all-star cheerleader tryouts. So I know you had a wrestler, and I think maybe Lola played lacrosse. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Lola was in every. I think sports keeps kids a little bit like
busy.
When you get your kids involved in sports, and my kids were in a multitude of sports, it really does keep their world a lot smaller than when it comes to like dating. I think it sort of it puts the brakes on that. They don't have that kind of idle time. I do think that like that there's a reason, Jerry, that your girls who are, I know, into sports also are just starting to bring boys around at the age of 16. Yeah. What I mean? Because a lot of kids have had boyfriends for years and years. I know that cheerleading is like, is a wild commitment time-wise, don't you think?
Yeah.
A mega commitment. I mean, before we even plan summer vacations or anything, you know, we have to check the cheer schedule.
And check the schedule. Yeah.
Not going to miss. And it's kind of sickening to even say that. I hate to admit that we're drinking the Kool-Aid too, but you know, I mean, once you're in it, that's kind of, it's better or don't be in it, you know? So, a huge.
Yeah, it is fun. You know, I actually do notice something too about my daughters is that the dudes that they bring around, are athletes and pretty busy as well, you know, so they hang out with people who also have busy schedules, and that's good. I like that. You are so right, Kelly. It's that idle time that makes there's an adage, idle time makes for
it's like devil's
druggy teens. Yeah, something like that.
But Krisha, were you saying that she's got cheer tryouts but she failed a test?
Yes, so she had a hard day because she's poorly on a test. And so that was kind of my question is, you know, how do you parent them? How do you tell them, you know, it's up to you to study. I can only remind you so many times, but without, you know, I don't know. I don't want to be super negative. I don't want to drive a wedge between us. It's hard to find that balance of teaching them the lesson or, you know, lecturing them, but doing it gently enough where they still trust you and you still have these open lines of communication with your teenager.
Yeah, I think that the best thing to stress in when it comes to studying and time management, it's like school always is first, and then like the sports and the athletics and all of that. That's the privilege for doing well in school. And for us, and don't get me wrong, we had days. There are days I would run and try to bash my head into a wall just to make it better for myself. But I think that we would always stress the time management. And I think it's a lot harder for kids now because there are so many different forms of social media. Like there was just Facebook when my kids were 13 years old, and they had to have it because that's how the teachers would put assignments on the class Facebook page. I mean, I'm talking early social media. So my kids didn't have distractions like kids have now, but I would really stress the time management, the amount of time she spends, say, looking at her. I'm assuming she has a phone, but say, if you put that time in the schoolwork instead of the phone, then we wouldn't be in this position. And make it like a we issue, so it's not just on her. Like you make it more of a, I'm in this with you, so she doesn't feel ganged up on or can't turn to you.
I got my kids to do something pretty simple because I can't take their phone away. I can't control their screen time. I don't know how to do it. I mean, I think also it's like any other thing that's a temptation out there. It's out there, so you can't just hide the booze around the house from an alcoholic because they're going to figure out a way to get it. But I did get my kids to turn their notifications off completely. Man, I had my kids' phones in my pockets one night at dinner. I was like, girls, give me your phones. And these things in my pocket were like, and I thought there was like, I thought a nuclear war was happening. I was like, girls, tell me what's happening. And they were like, oh, nothing. Sophia and Mia are fighting. And I was like, what? Girls, you got to turn these notifications off. So that sort of keeps them from always sort of looking over at their phones. But I do have a daughter who's currently failing Algebra 2, so we're fortunate enough to have the money to get her a tutor. So
first of all, Algebra 2 sucks, and she knows, like we all know, she's never going to use Algebra 2 in life, ever. By the way, spoiler alert, parents driving your kids home right now, and I know, and your kids know that they will never use Algebra 2.
I used the Pythagorean theorem. Damn, I used it this morning.
Can't even pronounce the word.
Pythagorean. I hope I didn't offend anyone.
Krisha, thank you for calling. I hope your daughter does well with everything, cheerleading, and I hope she gets to make up her test.
Yay! Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Love you, Krisha. Hope dinner's great tonight.
All right, we have to take another commercial break. Jerry, will you stick around a little longer?
Pythagorean.
Jerry's going to stick around. He's going to figure out.
He's going to look it up.
Pythagorean theory. We are back with Jerry O'Connell. Jerry, yeah. I just feel like you are one of one. You are just the greatest. The best, he's sort of an authority on everything.
There we go. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the topic here was raising teenage children, and I have two 16-year-olds. I would say I'm an expert. I'm in, I mean, I'm in the shit right now. I'm in it. I'm in the trenches. I'm in the thick of it. Oh, I will say this. I know I've been speaking very negatively about my daughters. One of them did go out to dinner with me last night, just her and I, and that was sweet. That was nice.
I have to say, I think your daughters are exceptional people, and I think that part of the reason it's okay to like pick on them is because they're so great. Like if they were actually, in danger, if they were.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I just think it's interesting to. I mean, when you're going through something, it's good to tell friends about it. I mean, Kelly, I call you all the time and say, what do you do? I'll never forget when you told me when they get the phones, you'll watch their grades drop 2 grades like immediately, and it's funny. My wife and I think about that a lot. So I think it's good to. That's why this show is good. It opens conversations, gets people talking.
Parenting wise, there's never a scenario that could be conjured up that would surprise me or shock me, or that I haven't experienced personally. Like,
right.
barring a murder of some kind. You know what I mean?
Right,
everything else, I'm like, oh, yes, I've been through that.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, I come to you all the time because you've been through it.
But I'm here to say, they do, if you put the work in, as we all do, they do come out of it on the other side like normal people. I think I'm waiting for one to come out.
Except for Nina from Michigan. Her kids are perfect. Everything's been so great.
We have a lot of calls. Okay.
Nicole from North Carolina has 2 polar opposite daughters.
Okay.
Oh,
Nicole
wow.
from North Carolina, you are on with Jerry and Kelly. Tell us about your polar opposite daughters.
Hi, Jerry and Kelly. Kelly, been watching you since the days of Regis. Love you to death.
Thanks, Nicole.
Jerry, I met you outside of BravoCon back when BravoCon was wild and unsecured, and you had just come in, and my sister and I attacked you at the door.
All right.
I like that.
Happens. I'm sure I encouraged it.
Did you physically, did you sexually harass?
He was like my screensaver forever, and I even got him in a little book from all my photos from BravoCon.
All right, there we go.
Anyway, at first blush, when Jerry said that he didn't punish his girls, I was like, wow, that's pretty loose. But then I started thinking, you know what? You got to let go, because they're going to go through it. I had a daughter. She's running a tech company now. She went through it. They're going to do it, no matter what you do.
I got to say, in terms of the punishment thing, and thank you for this call. It's very interesting. I am unable to administer punishment. I did hide my daughter's phone for one day. I forget what my daughter did. It was something egregious, and I just took it. I took it for a day. I was like, no phone for a day. But that's really the only punishment I administered. I don't know what to say. I think what I would prefer to do is make them realize where they went wrong, and I'm kind of kidding here, but make them feel shame about what they did. I mean, that's the lesson, to feel badly about something.
We were big punishers. We punished. I don't know if it did any good. We would take away things that I remember one year we took Halloween away from one of our kids because.
So what does that entail? Like they can't go out?
Trick-or-treating, no going out for trick-or-treating.
That's intense, Kelly. Wow.
I know. And the other parents were stunned. They never thought we'd follow through. But it had to. But guess what? When the other kids see you take Halloween away from one kid, they are like, it corrects everyone's behavior.
Okay,
we took away Luke's phone when we were punishing him once, and he was like, "But I need a phone to communicate with you." And we got him a flip phone.
No,
wow.
Oh my
gosh,
that's a good idea.
To not have a phone is bad, but to have a flip phone,
good idea. Wow, you really save on the data usage as well there. Okay.
Incredible. A flip phone. Why didn't I think of that?
Okay, we've got a call on line 4. It's Robbie from Kentucky. And
hey, Robbie.
Robbie from Kentucky. You're on with Jerry and Kelly. Robbie.
Can you hear me?
Robbie has one of those flip phones.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you now. Hi.
Oh, Robbie, get to the good part of the house. Get to the good part of the house. Quick, run. Quick, Robbie, run, or we're going to drop this. Come on, it's a live show.
One of this commercial.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Hey, Robbie.
Can you hear me now?
Robbie, we can hear you now. Robbie, you are live. Go. Action.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me. So I have this 15-year-old boy in my house.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
And he's the only one because I'm an old mom with a young son. You know how that is, maybe? I remember when you told the story this morning, you're walking past the teacher's lounge and you could smell the smoke. I'm that old. But
I get it. You're teachers smoking old. Yep.
Yes, I'm teacher smoking old when you could see him on the playground smoking. So my question is really some advice, because we only have one child, and I feel like poor Chad, that's his name, now everybody knows. But anyway, I feel like we maybe put too much on him, because we are so blessed. He's really such a good kid. But how would you stop that? I mean, I guess we just focus on, but I feel bad because all the focus goes to him.
I will say this. I have said this. I've said this to anyone that will listen. A woman I work with has one daughter, and I always say that the hardest number of children to raise is one. One is the hardest number, because all of their energy is fixated on you as parents, and all of your energy is then put into this one child. Having said that, it's so beneficial to have your parents' undivided attention. But he's a good kid at 15. I'm just telling you, boys go through it a little bit later than girls. And he'll probably start testing the boundaries. And I just want you to know that all kids go through it. They all go through something. And he will become a normal person again, but it'll take a couple of years. I'm just saying 15 is still, I would say that's still a pretty good age for boys. Wouldn't you say, Jan?
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know if you remember this, but a therapist once gave me advice about raising my kids. And it was about being the boundaries of a pool. You have to stay strong, and you have your boundaries, and they will come up and hold on to you, but then they'll kick off, and they'll go try to swim in the deep end, and they'll
choppy water
into choppy water, and they'll try to do it, but then they'll always come back and hold on to the edge. And if you give them that sturdy edge, they will thrive. They will do very well.
Yeah.
Well, my daughters are doing cannonballs in the deep end. Naked. They're jumping. They're skinny dipping in this pool.
Let me ask Robbie. Robbie, when you go, do you ever take family vacations, and do you allow him to bring a friend or a cousin?
We used to travel a lot because I used to work for an airline.
Oh,
so
amazing.
He's been to a lot of places.
Oh no, Robbie.
Lost it, Robbie. You know what? Let me jump in while Robbie gets to the better part of the house. But it is really funny. So my wife and I have two kids, and they're twins. And man, when we were going through it, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I can't believe I was a terrible husband and father. I was like, we have these two little kids. I didn't want this life. I can't believe this. I'm too young for this shit. I really put my wife through it. I'm so sorry, honey. But now that my kids are 16 and I'm looking at this being over quite soon, I wish we had more. I really do. Wow. It's a bummer.
Yeah, I get it.
Or I wish we had I'm sorry. I mean, you want us to talk off camera. I wish we had frozen eggs or something. If anyone younger is listening, I wish we had.
Jerry,
I wish we had more. No,
Yeah.
I wish we had more. I wish it wasn't over, because it's about to be over, and I'm bummed. I mean, I think my wife and I will stay married.
It's never really over, Jerry. Your relationship with them transitions. I so much prefer my relationship with 23-year-old Lola than 16-year-old Lola. My relationship with 16-year-old Lola was like hell. My relationship with 23-year-old Lola is a dream. And I can say that with complete conviction. So what I'm telling you is it doesn't end. It's not about to be over. It's just about to transition into something exceptional.
Yeah. It's funny, Kelly, I read your book. I read your book, and at the end it talks about how you and Mark are entering this new phase because the last kid leaves the house. I am a little worried about how quiet the house gets when the kids go,
No, do you know what starts happening? When you have to be on a movie set, Rebecca gets to travel with you. When Rebecca has to be on a movie set, you get to go with Rebecca.
Yeah.
You no longer have to rush home to make sure the kids are having their needs met, and you can sort of prioritize each other. It's not that your kids are no longer kids. It's that you start to prioritize each other again. Jerry, I hope we brought clarity to the world today with this
You really did. Kelly, you're a wealth of information. You too, Jan. Albert, you as well. It really is fun. You're the best, everybody.
Thanks so
Love
much,
you.
Love you,
Jerry.
Jerry.
We love you so much. Jerry O'Connell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Hey, and listeners, can't wait to talk off camera with y'all next week. Bye-bye. Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa is a production of Melojo Productions. From Melojo, our team is Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos, Albert Bianchini, Jan Chalet, Seth Gronquist, Roz Therian, Devin Schneider, Michael Halprin, Julia Desch, and Team Radio Andy, Lisa Mantaneo, Scott Marlowe, Jake Getz.